Does it take the world's richest man to put the billionaire globalist class in check? Joining us now to help answer some of this is best-selling author and investigative journalist Seamus Bruner, author of Controligarchs. Seamus, welcome back.
Yeah, hey Chanel, it's great to be with you. All these Euro leaders, their ire is directed at Elon Musk, but really they're angry at their voters. I mean, they're trying to make Musk the target of criticism for, class reasons. He's rich. He shouldn't be allowed to talk. And you're right to highlight the hypocrisy of letting George Soros and Bill Gates run amok throughout the EU for over decades in Soros's case. But really, the EU leaders don't trust their voters to hear all of the facts, hear all of the differing opinions, and to make smart decisions. They're very patronizing.
And that's their whole philosophy on life. The left is patronizing. The left does not want to acknowledge that people have their own free will, that they have decisions that are often suited better to their personal interests. There's a patronizing philosophy under the entire leftist globalist approach to governing the world.
Yeah, and that's just the nice way to put it. I mean, patronizing is nice compared to what they really are. Truly, they're tyrannical and oppressive. They don't believe that the people are smart enough to make decisions and to vote. That's the whole idea behind the EU to begin with, which George Soros was one of the architects of. He helped build the European Union. They don't want the voters to be able to vote, so they remove the decision-making powers. They place it in Brussels, far away from the individual countries where these rules and regulations take effect. And that's how they get things like totally open borders and mass importation of refugees and other people, which is why Keir Starmer is under fire from Elon Musk. It's these radical Islamic groups that have taken over parts of the UK and these grooming gangs. Now, this has been an issue for a very long time, but huge credit to Elon Musk for highlighting just how atrocious these grooming gangs were. And so the fact that the European politicians don't want their voters to be able to hear all the facts or to have a voice is very telling. It's the same way over here with our left-wing leaders. And Elon Musk deserves an enormous amount of credit for giving people a voice.
Yeah, and there's no discounting his role in helping, I guess, populate Trumpism around the world. Trump and his message, his agenda, has its own legs around the world, and it seems to be catching on in various corners of the globe. But Musk's role in spreading Trumpism has more of this techno-populism, free speech bent that is uniquely appealing to so many people who live under the thumb of way more totalitarian governments than this one. But it has a resonance that Musk seems uniquely poised to deliver.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, in the UK, you can be thrown in jail for sharing a meme. And right now they're talking about trying to put charges on Elon Musk for allowing people to just use free speech. So, I mean, I wouldn't say that we take it for granted in the United States. Heaven knows that we've all been censored in various ways. But free speech is the most important right to have, because if you can't talk about these issues, then they're just going to fester and get worse and worse. And so the ability to talk freely about the problems that our oppressive leaders have put upon us is so important, and we just need more of it. And it's really encouraging to see that Europe is starting to wake up. They've always been kind of ahead of us on the tyrannical mandate type stuff and the shutting down of free speech.
Yes.
I never thought possible
Yes.
that Europeans would maybe be able to speak freely, but here we are.
Well, again, not to use an old image here, but that bingo card has been filling up in so many surprising ways just in the past year and a half. I'm sure that we have a lot more cards to fill. Talk about the Soros legacy at this point. Recently, we saw this appalling scene at the White House, Hillary Clinton and the Soros family being awarded and lauded as great figures in society by Joseph Biden. The humor and the memes that came out of that day are hilarious, but in reality, the Soros family is perhaps best poised to carry on the legacy of this globalist agenda. Talk to us about where the sons are right now.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, everybody noticed George Soros wasn't there. It was Alex Soros accepting the award on his behalf, on his father's behalf. And Alex Soros is far more radical than his father. It should really concern people. He is now the heir apparent. He's taking over the billions and billions of dollars, $20+ billion philanthropic network of the Open Society Institutes. But I think everybody's also sort of noticed that there doesn't seem to be, where's all the BLM and Antifa, the things that George Soros and Alex Soros support, and all the radicals, where are they? Why is it so quiet right now? It's almost like a calm before the storm. And so what I understand is that they are right now planning, they've realized that they've been defeated. I mean, they kind of doubled down on Trump is racist after 2016. And now in 2024, that he's a terrible person and Hitler and all of these things. That didn't work. So you can't quadruple down on failure. So right now, what the Soros networks are doing, what all of their activists are doing, is they are focused testing the next wave of attacks, the next wave of, talking points for the radical left. But they've been beaten back. But make no mistake, they will be coming harder and faster than ever before. So we need to be prepared. But it is a really interesting time where you don't have Soros's influence appears to have waned, but it certainly hasn't. It's coming.
There's just too much money behind this group, this family, for them to just quietly go away.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, his net worth hasn't changed, which is telling, because he's, of course, making more and more money. It hung around, his personal net worth hung around $8 billion. But the philanthropic network is anywhere from 20 to 30. I suspect it's even more than that. They've got hundreds and hundreds of entities, places they can sock it away, Switzerland or wherever. So they basically have limitless cash. Them combined with all of the left-wing tech bros, the ones who are not trying to come over and crawl into the MAGA tent like Zuckerberg is. But you've got, the Reid Hoffmans and all these other left-wing people who pool their money with Soros and fund these radical left activities. They're regrouping, but they will be back.
Stay vigilant. The next area that is developing into this very interesting story, we have a lot of inquiries into the leadership failures on it, what's causing it. The California fires, the fires ripping through LA and the Palisades, entire swaths wiped out. What do you make of the latest conversation around insurance cancellations just a few months before these fires broke out?
Yeah, well, it's certainly well-timed. I mean, people think of insurance companies as casinos and the house always wins. I mean, we know that in Florida, they cancel policies before hurricanes. I don't know that it indicates a conspiracy. I mean, I don't have evidence for that yet, but it is just egregious. I mean, people have been paying their premiums, paying into the insurance, they're paying for their home insurance, and then you get canceled, and then your house gets wiped out. You're left with nothing. It's a tragedy. Something needs to be done about these insurance companies here in Florida, out in California. And, it's not good. My heart goes out to the people in California. I've got a lot of friends there who've had to evacuate, and it's really scary stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's not just that. I mean, the broader conversation around this is the failure in leadership, DEI having taken over what should be agencies dedicated to protecting Americans and protecting their homes and property. The failures in leadership in California are legion. Let's start with the fact that it apparently has come out that the LA Fire Department had sent over excess firefighting equipment to Ukraine, and other appalling headlines are starting to come out, but just a reallocation of resources that just seems so ill-advised.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely right. You've got 3 or 4 major issues that led to this. I mean, aside from what directly caused it, but it's been known for a very long time, California experiences wildfire. So you've got the brush management and the wildfire and the forest management. That's all a Newsom failure, of course. And just that, they have not taken care of their forest. In Florida, we have controlled burns. I mean, going back to the days of Native Americans, they knew what good forest management was and had controlled burns. So the fact that California can't get its act together with that is atrocious. Then you've got the water management. Donald Trump talked about this on the clip going around on Joe Rogan just 6 months ago. I mean, the left prioritizes like these little fishies more than they do their own people. It's really, really shocking. And it's really, what the left does is they kind of think that inanimate objects or even just wild animals are worthy of protection more than humans are in the environment. There's been psychological studies done on it. We don't really have time to get into that. But then, yes, the DEI stuff is probably the most outrageous part of this whole thing. I mean, DEI has been on life support for the past couple of years. You saw McDonald's isn't going to be using it anymore. Yeah. A lot of the Fortune 500 companies are doing away with it. This has to be the end of DEI. This forest fire, the fact that they, first of all, slashed the budget by over 10 million, 17.5 million, I think is what I saw. And then they are pouring it into DEI programs and hiring these people because they're lesbian or LGBTQ plus, as if that's like some victory. And meanwhile, they are not taking care of their city. It's you can't laugh, but it's really, I mean, otherwise you'll cry at how sad
you're right.
this is.
I saw one official was being paid something like over $300,000 just to run the DEI portion of the LA Fire Department. And it was appalling. That seemed to be all she was doing. But it circles back to what you've written about in Controligarchs. The big money sources that help push these programs are now showing the entire world what the result of years of that kind of ideology will render on the people. Seamus, we're all out of time. Always a pleasure to visit with you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Chanel.